often is it, and be honest, how often is it I actually get to just pop into town just with a friend? It never happens.
What do you mean? You're in town right now. It happens a lot.
No.
And then I'm the one that has to just... I don't know what to do with them.
No,
They want their mum.
What do you mean you don't...
Dinner for them?
What do you mean you don't know what to do with them? Mark, they are just...
I try to talk to them and they don't know... I don't know what I'm doing. This is why I need you to look after them.
Mark, are you busy? Do you think I get a day off? Do you think, as a mother, they go, oh, you know what, here's a magic wand, have a day off, why don't you? That does not happen. So you know what, you should be thankful to have your day off with them.
Yeah, but a day with the kids is hardly like a day off at work, is it? It's not exactly...
Honestly, you know what disgusts me the most? And it really boils my blood, is the fact that you are not on the phone right now saying, do you know what, babe, I would love a bit of extra time with them. You know what, you've been working so hard, go and enjoy yourself, have a good few hours, and we'll be waiting for him when you get back. You don't even want to spend time with them.
I'm spending time with them, but you were meant to be back 15 minutes ago to get them dinner and get them washed and stuff, and I'm just sat here like a plum.
I just feel like you have got a clock on me all the time. You know what, I did come out for a fun time this morning. I came to shop for the things that we need.
And I need you to watch the kids.
Honest.
Your job.
Honest to God, Mark, the level that you put in with the children, honestly, I'm not just saying this, it breaks my heart. You don't put in enough time. You don't put enough time to us either. Yes, I know you're out working, but you've got to give more.
Right, but you're saying I don't give time to you, and now you're going out with a pal drinking, so how am I meant to spend time with you?
This is, you're going out drinking, I'm not going out drinking, I'm literally seeing a friend for an hour tops, but you know what, there's no point because you've already ruined it.
So you're coming home then?
Yes, I am coming home, so then you can go and do whatever you want to do with your day, and I will look after the children, yeah?
Yeah, that's the way it's meant to be, do what you promised me.
Right, brilliant. I am so glad you've got exactly what you wanted.
Right, well, I'll see you soon then.
At some point, she has to realize it's her job to look after the kids. This is a prime example of why the majority of divorces are filed by women. Silly of me to think this way, but these kids got to be giving this guy a hard time. I've seen people raise kids that are terrible to be around. Maybe she is just used to it and he's not. How come she needs a day off as a mother, but his day off from work, he has to be a father? Oh goodness me, but are we terrible at relationships? It's ironic that as our communication skills have improved by lightning speed, as we have absorbed and integrated therapy language increasingly more so into our everyday lives and conversations, the idea of communication and emotional well-being has become a priority in relationships and how we talk and navigate relationships with each other. Yet with all that in mind, we do not know how to relate to one another in an intimate setting. But just before I get into this video, I just want to address something that is always on my mind when I see things like this on Twitter or online. Why is this being recorded and posted online? And this may be controversial, but this is my issue with content like this. This relationship was already doomed as soon as the post button was pressed. Because based on the nature of this video, clearly this was an act of resentment or a grudge or real loathing for him on her part, assuming that she posted it. And this inevitably means that this video, this moment of anger, of hostility, of two people really hating each other is going to last forever, and it can't be forgotten because the internet does not forget. The potential future of this relationship is going to be haunted by this clip, and he is going to be known online as this guy who doesn't know how to look after his kids and sits there like a plum. And it's sad because who knows, maybe in a few days' time they will have sorted things out. He will realize what an absolute twat he was being. Will get her flowers, they'll talk about it, they'll come to a new kind of arrangement and how their home life is run and organized, how their kids are prioritized, how he can better relate to them and be a better father. Who knows? But now the internet, which is only privy to 120 seconds worth of their relationship, is giving advice to this woman and to this couple on what they need to do, which is mainly that she needs to either buck up and be a mother and conform to her gender role, or in the majority of cases, she needs to divorce him. The internet, myself included, now has an input into a private relationship which we are in no way neutrally or impartially privy to. And I don't think that this is just an issue with these kinds of videos, but more so, I think, an issue that can really relate to these happy-go-lucky, positive, romantic kind of videos with couples. Because videos of the perfect couple are firstly unrealistic, and secondly, for the couple themselves, it really places on a pedestal these very sanitized moments that they post of themselves online, when inevitably their relationship changes, when the honeymoon phase is over, when they are going through the bumps and the downward spirals of any relationship, they're going to then see that as being an inherent problem, because lo and behold, we were so happy only 3 months ago on our social media page. And you may think I'm exaggerating. I'm really not. Let's contrast this clip that we see, which I will get back to, with another clip that I recently saw, in which this young woman was told by her audience to divorce her partner, or that she could do better because of a Coke can.
Hold on, it's cold here. Did you just open that?
No, it's not. It's not cold. It's from, I don't know, from earlier. I didn't open it.
Well, I certainly didn't open it. It's brand new.
No, it's not brand new. I think it's just cold because it's cold in the house. Because I didn't open a new Diet Coke.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to. I'm just saying, don't forget that you open them. You always do that. Anyway.
Here you go, my love.
Looks good.
And they didn't have the microwavable one because I wanted to make like buttery.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the internet and our obsession with therapy language and applying it to everything has really done more harm than it is doing good. The harm it's doing is creating this sort of framework of how a relationship ought to look like. It's created this framework which, on the one side of the political spectrum or the one side of the conversation, is all about this idea of equality and being able to find that perfect equilibrium and that perfect spot of equality where everything is divided perfectly and evenly, and so nobody feels any resentment at all because everything is perfectly set. And then on the other end, there seems to be this conversation about, let's go back to the good old days of traditional gender roles, where everybody has their clear roles, where there's clear expectations, and inevitably everybody is happy. And it's interesting because this language of divorce is now a big thing. Clearly, it's a huge thing. And I think this video really demonstrates why the vast majority of divorces are not caused by infidelity, but rather by the so-called lack of commitment or basic incompatibility. 43% of children in the US are being raised without their fathers. And as this video shows, this does not include those children who are being raised by a married single mother. And for me, at least, seeing this video makes me really think that we just lack that very integral part of any relationship, which I don't think is equality. I don't think you can find equality in any relationship, whether it's a friendship or an intimate romantic relationship. I think all you can really ask of somebody else is empathy. And I think when it comes to intimate relationships, empathy is so vital, and it's also the place where it means the most to the receiver of that empathy. This man, Mark, I believe his name is, he is not showing any empathy for his partner, and the lack of empathy is just very telling.
No. What do you mean? Don't.
I don't know what I'm doing. This is why I need to look after them.
Because empathy isn't about winning. Empathy is about having to take yourself out of your shoes, out of your situation, out of your qualms, out of your sense of injustice and entitlement, and having to really consider somebody else, even when it doesn't benefit you whatsoever. And what is quite sad is that I think that in this case, him being empathetic toward her would have had unintended beneficial consequences for him. Him just actually saying what She hoped that he would say, you know, babe, it's okay if you're going to be 15 or so minutes late. You go out, you enjoy your time with your friends, you get what we need. I'll look after the kids. Even though I don't know what to do with them, we'll try to do something. I'll figure something out. Who knows? You know, whatever. I'm shit at this, but I'm going to try.
Like I went and talked to a psychologist at one point because, you know, stuff. And he said to me, he's like, I've never talked to any parent ever that didn't think they could be a better parent, right? You know, of course, there's people out there that, you know, just don't care about their kids or whatever. But like the people that are actually actively trying, it's like every single one of them, they think they're not doing a good enough job. They want to do a better job. You know, they have regrets about the way they've been doing things, something like that. Like it's everybody.
I think that's the telltale sign of a good parent. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The ones that don't think they're doing enough.
So that's what I was getting at. Is like if you're trying to be one, then kids are tough. You're going to make mistakes. You know, they're going to drive you insane one day and you're going to yell and you're going to feel bad about it. But as long as you feel bad about it and you're trying to do better, then you're okay.
That means so much, especially for a woman. I just, for me at least, you know, even when what somebody tries to do to impress me or to make my life easier flops and actually really makes my life harder. I don't know, maybe he'll feed them sweets and candy and they'll be all hyper. At least he tried something, you know, and there was an effort. And I think on both sides of the spectrum of perfect equality and traditional roles, there is just this lack of empathy. Allegedly, on the side of absolute perfect equality and equilibrium of roles and expectations, there needn't even be empathy because the equality and the equal division of things cancels out any need for such a thing, at least based on how it looks in real life when it actually sort of happens. I think theoretically it seems to work out in the minds of people, but remember, we're human beings. We're not theoretical human beings, sadly. And with traditional roles and traditional gendered expectations, everybody has their clear-cut role, and so there's no need for empathy because nobody transgresses the boundaries in place. Because women have to give birth to children and are still the primary child caregivers, we have immediate access to appreciating the effort, the consequences, and realities of having children. For a woman to leave her children is still, to this day, deemed taboo and wrong. For a man to leave his children is nowhere near as controversial. And we can definitely see that in this clip where at least the response has been for this woman to divorce him because of this. I read something interesting a few days ago. Experts say that women often have a higher expectation of how a partner will meet their emotional needs than men, which can lead to disappointment post-wedding. This clip, at least at face value, really shows this man as having emotional intelligence that is on the ground level. And she's clearly getting lower emotional benefits out of this relationship, at least based on what we can see now. She seems to have independence, she seems to have friends, as well as being a mother and looking after their children. He seems to really not know what to do when it comes to their relationship one-on-one, and also when it comes to, importantly in this case, looking after their children. And I think this is another thing that is regrettably just internet-based more and more so. This presentation of children as being the glue that is going to hold you together, children and marriage as being this great thing that is going to solve all your issues with regards to intimacy, with regards to not being able to talk to women or to men, children as being the thing that is going to suddenly give your life the meaning that you oh so crave.
You don't even want to spend time with them.
I'm spending time with them, but you were maybe back 15 minutes ago to get them dinner and get them washed and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, what a problem.
Mark, they are just...
I try to talk to them and they don't know, I don't know what I'm doing, that's why I need to look after them.
Mark!
You know, on the one hand, I'm saying to myself, if you are not ready for the responsibility of children and for the reality that suddenly your life is not your own, your life is that of your children, and you have to put them first, their well-being, both physically and emotionally, before yours. Children should not be had. So on the one hand, that's what I'm saying to myself. On the other hand, I think that there is this paradox in having children. Like with anything, in order to know whether you are good at something, in order to know whether something is right for you, you can't just Google it or read a book about it. You actually have to face the beast and do it, right? You have to actually have children. You have to actually be around children. You actually have to be around women in order to really cultivate the ability to communicate with women, etc. All these sorts of things. And I think with children, the paradox lies in the fact that you have to learn via experience and via the process. And if you suck at it, you're going to fuck up the child, which is what happens with most children in modern societies, to be fair.
Yeah, but a day with the kids is hardly like a day off at work, is it? It's not exactly.
Honestly, you know what disgusts me the most? And it really boils my blood is the fact that you are not on the phone right now saying, do you know what, babe? I would love a bit of extra time with them. You know what? You've been working so hard. Go and enjoy yourself. Have a good few hours and we'll be waiting for him when you get back. You don't even want to spend time with them.
But his excuse of, I don't know what to do with them, isn't an excuse at all. Even if you don't know what to do with them, try. It's about effort. It's about empathy. It's about taking yourself out of your shoes and having to somehow force your feet into those little shoes of that 3-year-old and that 6-year-old, into the shoes of your partner, for the good of the relationship, for the good of the home, for the good of your own well-being and future. To this day, there is clearly a huge gender divide when it comes to emotional labor, when it comes to household labor, and the multi-dimensional nature and reality of being in an intimate partnership.
I mean, I've always said the hardest part about being a dad that I had to learn was that you go from being the master of your life, all the time, you can do whatever you want, whenever, right? The hardest part was always breaking that mindset and being more selfless, right? Like, sure, you got your whoever you're dating or married to, you got time for them, but you still are able to just focus on you mainly. When you got a kid, you're on their time. There's no, I'll get to it later. Like it
now.
just, I mean, from one procrastinator to another, I know, after having some kids, I ain't got time for none of that no more. I just gotta get stuff done.
And I think we often, myself very much included, see this idea of a relationship, of marriage, of children as being the solution or the resolution to our issues of loneliness, of a feeling of a lack of drive and purpose and momentum. This idea that these things are going to give us this fulfillment which we lack now. But becoming and being willing to continually work on becoming emotionally attuned and really having to morph and change and alter and improve on your emotional attuning throughout your life is difficult. And I think that is something that really is not going to be found immediately or explicitly in a relationship or in children. I think you bring these things to the table, these things change once the table has been set, and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, and social media is not going to inform you on that whatsoever. And I think it was just very telling the way that this influencer Julia Zolg's followers responded to a little argument about a Coke can. I think it shows now that with everybody perceiving themselves as being an expert on everybody's private interactions and relationships with regards to what makes something healthy or not, we are really self-sabotaging. The amount of people online who I see calling their ex a narcissist is just incredible. I hardly see anybody online taking responsibility for the demise of a relationship or seeing it as a matter of just mutual incompatibility, a mutual effort or lack thereof in making the relationship no more. It's clear that we're pretty terrible at relationships in modern societies, and at the same time, we're really not having honest conversations with each other about why that is. We're not taking responsibility. It's a lot easier, a lot more convenient to just point the finger at some narcissistic abuser. In my humble opinion, I think that we need to stop seeing the likes of marriage counseling or marriage therapy as being a luxury and more so as a necessity. And I don't mean that we just need to see it as such. I think that our state and the state apparatus needs to see it as such as well. Mental health assistance and subsidies are not taken nearly as seriously by the state as they ought to. The best person to equip a couple with the help and assistance that they need is a marriage specialist or a relationship specialist. Somebody who is impartial, who is neutral, who has all the information that they need about said couple, who has the expertise, who is also going to look for a resolution as opposed to just reinforcing the sanctimony or the self-righteousness of one party over another. And it's also a safe space in which vulnerabilities and things that one partner may not know at all about the other can actually come to light.
You absolutely can make longevity work in a relationship. You can build. You are not just settling for companionship, but you can have passion and intimacy and growing love and appreciation. But there is a blueprint, a set of skills that we were never given. We're not taught it in school. We changed the rules of the game and we haven't learned the rules yet.
With this couple, I don't know, maybe she can sell her GoPro or her second phone that she's recording on. I still don't know how this came to light. It's incredible technological setup for a car. But I don't know, maybe she can sell that and they can use that money to go to couples counseling or to a marriage therapist. The fact that they've got 2 children together and have clearly been together for at least 6 years based on the age of the eldest child, I think is telling that there is probably potential in this relationship, that there is something that is keeping them together. Hopefully it's some kind of respect and something emotional as opposed to mere necessity. But I think that's what a marriage counselor or therapist can really help them to figure out. Because I think with a lot of these things, especially with this idea that, men are deadbeat, men are worthless, men have no emotional intelligence, there's sort of absolutely no education, no real practical education that has been put into place or that has just been integrated into our social and personal norms and ways of going about things that in any way seems to prepare a lot of these young men for the real emotional responsibility of adulthood, of being a partner, of being a father. And I think this clip is an example of a lack of empathy, not just a lack of empathy for where this guy may be coming from in his own world and view of the injustice of having to spend an hour and 15 minutes with his children, but on his part, a clear lack of having any semblance of empathy for his partner, for his children, for the situation, which I think again is not just his problem, but I think is just this generic problem that I can see just around me. But please let me know what you think about this. I found this clip very tricky, but very interesting nonetheless. Do you think that this couple should just call it quits? Do you think there's potential? Do you think that there is any likelihood of us becoming better at relationships? Because there is clearly something amiss between men and women, between us all in relationships contemporarily. Not to compare it to any previous time, who knows what was going on back then. But I think in the here and now, we are clearly finding things very difficult to navigate in the long term. And I think that's what we all, or at least the vast majority of us, want, is these long-term, meaningful, empathetic, compassionate relationships with another human being. How can we do better? How can we make that more of a reality for more and more of us? Let me know down in the comment section. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get on the friendly side of the algorithm once again. We will persevere, but I need you for that. And so I thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for engaging with me and for giving me the time of day. And I will see all of you very, very soon in the next one.